on marginalized minorities and vulnerable groups. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification icon so you could be notified of all our new videos. And also, please leave it in the comments any question that you have on the tutorial or any improvement that you need to see on the quality of the videos, or any appreciations. I will be replying to them as soon as possible. And thank you. And let's get right into chapter 4. What is marginalization? So marginalization is defined as treatment of person or social group as a minor. So uh, the treatment, so marginalization in short is the treatment of a person in a social group as a minor, insignificant, or prefer. Marginalization involves exclusion of a certain group from social interaction, marriage relations, sharing food and drinks, and working and living together. So marginalization is basically pushing out a specific certain person or a specific certain group from the social group, uh, from any interaction, marriage relation, or sharing foods and drinks, or working or living together. So, who is mostly marginalized? Who is mostly pushed from social places or environments? So, we can say examples as women, children, or and older people and other disabled people that are found among society are most usually marginalized from groups across the world. Uh, Religious, ethnic, and racial minorities are also among the social groups of marginalized in different societies and cultures. Crafts workers such as tanners, potters, uh, ironsmiths, and are marginalized in many parts. So, we've seen what marginalization means. What is vulnerability? Vulnerability refers to the state of being exposed to physical or emotional injuries from people. For example, children and people with disabilities need special support and protection. So, there are different forms of marginalizations, which are gender-based marginalization, which, as we said before, women could be an victims to marginalization by society because of their genders. Gender inequality involves discrimination on a group of people based on their gender, which women are exposed to social and economic inequalities involving unfair distribution and wealth, income, and job opportunities. There are some contemporary practices that affect the health and well-being of girls and women. These practices collectively are called harmful traditional practices. Example: early child marriage and female circumcision, also called as female genital cutting mutilation. So early child marriage and female circumcision are harmful traditional practices, which is a gender-biased marginalization. The second form of marginalization is marginalization or marginalized occupational groups. According to the anthropological finding, there are occupational marginalized groups in many parts of the world. The following are marginalized occupation. Uh, marginalized occupation groups is the second form of marginalization, is which according to anthropological findings there are conceptual marginalized groups in many parts of the world. Now we can see types and manifestations of marginalization in craft works. So spatial marginalization in the craft workers, example, craft workers settle live on the outskirts of village near the forest or poor land. So, and also there are victim to economic marginalization. These craft workers are victim to economic marginalizations. For example, craft workers are excluded from certain economic activities, including production and exchanges. In some cultures, they are not allowed to cultivate crops. Uh, Also, they are also marginalized in social terms. Uh, for example, craft workers are excluded from intermarriage. They do not share burial places with others. They are excluded from membership of associations such as, and Cultural marginalization. Example: the cultural marginalization of minorities are labeled as impure, polluting. They are accused of eating animals that have died without being slaughtered. And also, the other form of marginalization is by age, age-based for vulnerability. This is age-based vulnerability is susceptibility of people, especially children and older people, to different forms of attack, physical injuries, and emotional harms. Children, this can be by people that are very old and or people that are very young. So there are two. So for children, discrimination and vulnerability, both boys and girls are exposed to the same harm and abuse in the hands of older people. However, girls are exposed to double marginalization. The other is factors encouraging early marriage. There are various factors that drive early marriage: social norms and economic factors that are two major drivers of practice. Marginalization of older person are exposed to social exclusion because of their lower social economic status. Older persons are marginalized because they are considered as social burden rather than social assets. Communities do not provide older persons with opportunities to contribute their communities. However, people's attitude towards older person is changing over time. Next up, we are going to see religious and ethnic minorities. So we've seen the marginalizations by gender, by occupation, and by age. But and also we've noticed that people can be marginalized and be considered as minorities based on their religion or ethnic status. There are several examples of marginalization and discrimination targeting religious and ethnic minorities in the world. Let us mention two examples. For example, the Jewish people suffered from the discrimination and persecution in different parts of the world. Example by Germany, by the Western Europe countries. The Muslim renegades are among the most marginalized and persecuted people in the world. Renegades are one of the most ill treated and persecuted refugee groups in the world, although the level of problem varies in different contexts. A religious ethnic minority face different forms of discrimination in many parts of the world. Human rights approach and inclusiveness, anthropological perspectives. All forms of marginalization and discrimination against vulnerable and minority groups contradict the principle of human rights. The major human rights of conventions denounce discrimination against women, children, people with disability, older people, and other minority and vulnerable groups. Similarly, anthropologists do not support, appreciate cultural practices that violate the rights and well-being of individuals and groups. Moreover, anthropology appreciates cultural diversity and commonality.